Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back to SKG Tier 1 and welcome to the Lone Star State. We are in Texas for round 10 of 12 here in Season 16 of SKG Tier 1 and, well, some dark skies ahead. My name is George Sanderson. Alongside me in the commentary box is Ollie Lois as always. And Ollie, it's a pretty overcast qualifying session. This is going to be an interesting one.
It is indeed, yeah. We may see some drops of rain, we don't know. We just have to wait and see. And yeah, like you say, it's going to be an interesting one, as we've got a few people returning and a few people making, once again, their debut here in SKG Tier 1.
Yeah, exactly. And we are currently at 19 drivers. We are expecting a 20th, which will be the Haas of Portuguese Beast, who we are trying to get in at the moment. Ollie, if you can shoot them an invite whenever possible. Yes. But that will be a full grid of 20 drivers. So very exciting scenes ahead for us here today. As we are just waiting to see who the first driver out will be. No one has left the garage in the first 30 seconds, which is interesting. But I think we're just double checking the Portuguese Beast is able to get in to the race. A few cars now heading out on track, which is only a good sign, and it's Esco Kalevi who heads out on track first. But yeah, I believe people are just double checking that Portuguese Beast could get into the lobby and we wouldn't have to restart. But it seems that we have got the go ahead, and yeah, Esco Kalevi first out on track, Ollie.
Indeed, yeah. Ooh. There's an echo in this part. That's a problem.
There we go. I've just had to sort my batteries out. What did you say, there was an echo going on?
There was an echo. In the cellars, yeah.
There's still an echo, that's not good.
Kubi retires, he's serving a qualifying ban, so see what the Belgian can do from the back of the field. Obviously we know how quick he is after his performance in Qatar, and where else did he win at?
He won at Belgium. It was his home
Belgium,
race.
yeah, so
just gonna try and get Portuguese Beast, and apparently your invite didn't work, so we'll try through me as well. But yeah, hopefully should be able to get in very soon. But for the time being, let's keep an eye on who is going first. It's actually Risbo who's going to begin his lap as we see Portuguese Beast join there. So we're going to just keep an eye on Risbo going around the track at the moment, as he climbs the hill towards the blind apex of turn 1 with a little wiggle as he drops back down the hill and flies through the right-hander of turn 2. This circuit, inspired by a number of different tracks on the calendar. We're going through a section very similar to that of Maggots and Beckett's at Silverstone. There are little bits, as Risbo goes for a little pirouette there at the top of the hill, and he will need to move sooner rather than later before his car disqualifies him for being stuck. Risbo, there we go, he's got himself moving. I had a mini heart attack that he was about to get disqualified by the game, as he was waiting to not distract anyone, but that could have been very costly for him indeed. So we'll swap over to Esco Kalevi for the rest of the lap, I think, as we come towards the section of track inspired by I guess the Hockenheim Arena section, Ollie, this little section. It's sort of an amalgamation of that, and then the next corner we come to is a bit like Bahrain turns 9 and 10, I want to say.
Yeah, I knew that some corners here were inspired, especially that Magnus and Beckett section, but I thought this corner he's going through now might have been Turkey.
This bit, yeah, that like sort of triple apex right-hander, that is inspired by what the section track at Turkey. There's a lot of inspiration at this track, and I have to say Herman Tilke, who designed this circuit, It's one of his rare good circuits, I'd say. I do quite like COTA, as we see Esko Kalevi set a 31.4, which is 7 tenths down on the Tier 2 pole time we saw earlier today. So, definitely time in it still. We're about to see Parker go around as Silo goes for a 30.1 over a second quicker, and miles clear of Parker, who's down in second place at the moment. So Silo came in and got debut pole and debut victory in Vegas last weekend. Seems he's quite fond of the American circuits, because that is a rapid time, over half a second quicker than we saw in Tier 2 earlier today.
Yeah, Silo, like we said, might be the future with his performance in Vegas, and well, that first lap already. I mean, what the hell? He's already 6 tenths ahead of Tom Campbell, who we've seen is rapid in qualifying, and Casper, even yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, these guys are, well, he is ridiculously fast, Silo. We saw that in Vegas. We're seeing it here again today. We have a few debutants. We've been watching one in the Aston Martin, T. Whitey, making his Tier 1 debut after finishing, I believe it was second in Tier 2 earlier today. I'm just trying to find the piece of paper I noted it down on, but I cannot find it. So, but yeah, I believe he was second in Tier 2 earlier on, and indeed he was, just found it. Qualified second, finished second in Tier 2. We also have Maki Mizono, I believe is how we're going to be pronouncing his name. He is making his debut, as well as someone which you may have thought it was Nico Rosberg for a second. It's not quite, it's Nico Rassenberg instead in the Haas. So a double reserve lineup for Haas here today. And it'll be very interesting to see how those two get on.
Yeah, I was just watching Lawrence Patton as he was finishing off his lap, and unfortunately, through that penultimate corner, which is quite a tricky one, very easy to invalidate on the inside or the outside, and unfortunately did invalidate on his run. So he will be going for a second run. Obviously, we saw his pace as well last week. It was very, very strong.
Absolutely.
Ferrari,
and,
a very, very strong lineup with Takubi here too.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment, it is Silo who is miles clear in this session so far. He is over half a second clear still at the top. It's a fantastic battle for second place between the two V-Carbs and Katsby and Jacek, with the three of them separated by a tenth of a second. And actually, it's V-Carb Red Bull for second down to fifth, with Venzi about another tenth and a bit behind Parker. So very strong by the Red Bull owned teams. But so far, no one can get close to the Mercedes of Mackie. Just waiting to see if anyone else is on laps. As
yeah, Portuguese Beast. Through the final corner comes the Haas, late appearance. So the past, is he going to come over the line?
goes P7.
P7.
Yeah, not a bad lap time. 31.0. It is not close to the Tier 2 pole. As we said, that was a 1 minute 30.753 by SKG Nico earlier on today in the V-Carb. V-Carb once again having a very strong weekend so far. They've taken 2 out of the 3 pole positions in Tiers 2, 3 and 4. As well as converting both of those poles into wins through Nico in Tier 2 and Ander Pro in Tier 3. So they are a team once again on form, and with their lineup of Parker and Tom Campbell, they are truly quick in Tier 1 as well. But right now, no one is close to Nico, so we'll see how it goes for everyone on their second runs. We've got FST Robin out at the moment, coming through the final sector. Appears to be the only driver currently on a lap time, as he slightly misses the apex through the left-hander and bails into the pit lanes. So no improvement from the McLaren this time around. Who do we have coming up next?
I believe it's Mark Daniel?
It could well be, yeah. Mark Daniels on an outlap, but just behind him is Tom Campbell. And
what on earth has happened there?
what have you seen?
Portuguese Beast is missing a front wing.
Oh, that's not ideal for him. We are just looking at some of the drivers on an outlap at the moment and deciding who we might ride on board with for this one. So, Ollie, I'll give you the pick. We've got Mark Daniel coming through the final sector. We've got Tom Campbell just behind. Catspare's just entered the final sector as well. Who do you fancy riding on board with for this one? Or do we go
I
with
think
the man...
we go for Mark Daniel.
Okay, we'll go Mark
And
Daniel.
is last and hasn't set a time.
Absolutely, let's go across the line with him then to start his flying lap, and we go up this big gradient hill up towards turn 1, 11% gradient at its steepest point, and then we drop back down through turn 2, the right-hander, before this Maggots and Beckett section. The left-hander of 3, then 4 to the right, 5 to the left, and then the long sweeping right-hander of turn 6 before we begin to climb back up the hill. It's a purple sector 1 from Mark Daniel, 24.6 I believe that was, Ollie. I'm not sure how that compares to Silo's first attempt.
Off Silo.
So it wasn't a purple, the game lied to us, but Mark Daniel not too far off the pace so far as we go through the slowest corner on the track, turn 11, and now down this 1.18 kilometre back straight. DRS open to get as much straight line speed as possible. Mark Daniel looking ahead, ready to judge his braking point for turn 12. The left-hander, just a bit more than 90-degree corner, and now into this stadium section with the wall of noise from the American fans on all sides of them as we head through turns 14 and now 15, probably the hardest corner on the circuit. Back on the power for the triple right-hander of this sort of Turkey-inspired section of 16, 17 and then 18. He has traffic up ahead of him. That shouldn't be too close to put him off whatsoever. And they're actually going to begin their final run. Through the final corner comes Mark Daniel, and it might have put him off slightly. Maybe lost a little bit of time there. And it'll be P14 for the McLaren. But I don't think it was obstructional from the car ahead of him. I think it was just a little bit distracting, perhaps, but I don't think that will be a penalty for that driver. Tom Campbell did marginally improve his lap. I think he was invalid, so he hasn't...
He was indeed, yeah, improved by about a tenth, I think, so still no close to Silo, who is improving. I just want you to know, as he's rounding the penultimate corner, is Silo about to dip?
Oh, he's gone wide and invalidates, though, at the penultimate corner, and that will not be an improvement for the Mercedes as he comes back into the pit lane. What can Parker do then, coming through the final sector at the moment? He has Lawrence Patten just ahead of him as well. Of course, his teammate Takubi serving that qualifying ban, which means as it stands with Lawrence yet to set a time, well, he was second last. He's now second on the grid. Instead, a 1 minute 30.5 from him. Parker goes third with a time just quicker than the tier 2 point. In fact, it's only the top 4 on the grid that have beaten the pole time set by Nico in tier 2. So it shows you just how quick Nico was in that qualifying session, or perhaps just how good the track conditions were for him in tier 2 earlier on. Dom will be next up to the line in the Alpine, and around the final corner he goes back on the power, and he does improve, but it's not enough to improve his position. He will remain in P17. The second McLaren of Mark Daniel comes into the pits. That means next up Tom Campbell heading back to the pit lane. I think it's Risbo then next up, but he is also invalid. Is there anyone actually on a flying lap, Ollie?
I think there is a Sauber, he's also invalid, never mind. The other Sauber is also invalid, Krabs isn't on one.
I think
Esco
most people heading
is
back
not
to the
on one.
pits by the looks of it.
Venzi has gone P5 just ahead of Casper, so...
TYT.
Venzi, I haven't seen Venzi's name for a while, is he?
Robin is on a lap as we come towards the final corner. You were mentioning T. Venzi there. He has been away for a couple of... Oh no, he was in Qatar, so he got P8 in Qatar, but he was away in Vegas. Robin sets a 31.2, but it's only good enough for 17th. But you can just see how close the grid is once again. 1.3 seconds between all the drivers here today. So you can actually see just how close it is from 13th down to Robin in 17th. That is ridiculously close. Under a tenth of a second between Magnussen Cube's Haas and Robin's McLaren. So really, really close, just outside the top 10. But everyone else heading back into the pits at the moment. So we'll wait and see who goes out first for their final runs in this qualifying session.
Can anyone eclipse the Mercedes? I mean, I don't think they can. The fact that
I don't
Silo
think
was
they can.
improving, and the fact he's already done a lap good enough 4 tenths faster than.
I
I think
think
Lauren. I think
it's... Go on.
I think Silo might have this in the bag.
Might do, and it might be back-to-back poles to start his Tier 1 career, which is pretty incredible. The last time that happened, I believe... No, even Victor Weidler didn't. I was going to say, I believe it was Victor Weidler who did it, but he got first, then second, then first again. In fact, he started all 4 of his first races from the front row. But it was Victor who was consistently winning in SKG Tier 1, and it's also Nardo, I believe. Yes, Nardo is the person with the record at the moment. He took his first 3 races in Tier 1, and he took pole position in all 3 of them. He then converted that into just 1 win, though. 2 DNFs and a win for him. Whereas Silo, of course, converted his very first pole into a win. Victor Weidler could have converted his first 5 races into race wins if it wasn't for a puncture on the final lap in Belgium back in season 14 on his debut. So, yeah, Silo back out on track. Everyone now coming back out, it seems. And we are about to go racing, or hot lapping, should we say, one final time in this qualifying session. So I think we simply have to ride on board with Silo in this one and just see how quick the man is. We will, of course, keep an eye out on, I believe it is Catsbear, who will be starting his lap first, followed by Tom Campbell. So we will keep an eye on them, but as soon as Silo gets close to starting his lap, I think we just simply have to jump on board with the Mercedes driver.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll keep an eye on everyone else if you keep an eye on the man of the hour currently.
Yeah, so for the time being, let's have a look at how Tom Campbell starts his hot laps. Silo is only just entering the final sector, so we could probably see sector 1 for the V-Carb as he crosses the line. So 1 minute 30.740 that Tom Campbell is looking to beat, and, well, for him and Parker, they're trying to see who will get the bragging rights heading into the final 2 races of the season. They have matched each other in qualifying so far, 4 qualifyings apiece in their head-to-head, and also 4 races apiece for them so far. Tom crosses sector 1 split and he's about a 10 foot, but we're going to jump over to the Mercedes of Silo, who is about to start his lap time. Did Lawrence just get a grid penalty?
Got a illegal blocking, 5-place grid penalty.
That is the game being very stupid, but unfortunately that will not be corrected. So he will be starting 5 places lower. Here comes Silo though, through turn 1. He now drops down the hill, gets to the middle of the track to the right hand side, and through the first sector, this Maggots and Beckett section, switching from right to left and then back to right again through the double apex turn 6, then through 7, and we climb the hill. He is up on his time, but only by 200ths of a second, and there he is, invalidated. Silo will not improve at the end of this qualifying session, and for that we have to hop back over to Tom Campbell, who is coming through the final sector at the moment. He will be the first one to cross the line as the checkered flag falls, unless he actually may even get across the line before it falls. I don't think he quite will, so the checkered flag will now wave, and a big slide out the final corner from Tom Campbell. He will improve to 3rd. Behind him, Catsby and J-Chick goes 4th. It's not quick enough to get him up onto the front row of the grid. Next up is Nat MF1 in the Alpine, the British driver, through the final corner, currently with a 31.2. Can he improve into the 1 minute 30s? He can. It's a 30.8 from the Alpine. Great job by him. The other Mercedes of Risbo goes 10th for the time being. Let's see what Silo would have done if he had completed his lap. It looks like he's continued at full pace up to the line. Silo would have set a 30.08, a fantastic lap time by the Mercedes driver there. Parker in sector 3 at the moment. Venzi goes 4th for Red Bull, just ahead of his teammate Catsper.
Identical time.
With Tom the identical time to Tom, yeah, but Tom starts ahead as he sets his lap time first. Next up to the line, I think that's one of the Williams drivers, or is it Parker? No, it was Ethan Quigley across the line. Dom goes 18th. Parker down in 6th at the moment. What can the V-Carb do? Opens the DRS, goes
Oh.
2nd, but he's still 4 tenths behind Silo. Lawrence Patten does improve back to the front row, but will drop down to 7th with his grid penalty. It's a 30.514, but that is frankly ridiculous from Silo. A first lap time of the session, and it's good enough for pole. He didn't even need to do a second run.
Yeah. Statement has been thrown.
Absolutely, and that will send shockwaves around the paddock a little bit of how the hell do we beat this guy. That is a phenomenal lap time by him, and yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Absolutely incredible. But Silo on pole then. It's Lawrence Patten in second with an all V-Carb row 2, all Red Bull row 3. Krabs is 7th with then the 2 reserves of Maki Maizono and Nico Rasenberg in 8th and 9th. So good showing from those two on their debut, as we see an overcast backdrop here looking at the pit building. So I wonder if there may be a question of some rain in this race. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, we thought that out qualifying, obviously, that not as long as the race. Plenty of opportunity for the gods to intervene.
Absolutely. So let's take you through the grid as drivers are setting their strategies. You also get a little sneak peek at the tyres people are planning to use so far. A lot of mediums. But Silo on pole, Parker alongside him on the front row with Tom Campbell in third. Venzi and Katzberg 4th and 5th with Krabs. 6th for Aston Martin. Then it is Lawrence Patten, who drops down to 7th after his grid penalty. 8th and 9th are the 2 Sauber reserves, Mackie getting the better of Nico Rasenberg, with Nat MF1 in 10th. And then just outside the top 10, we have the second Aston of the reserve T Whitey, Esko Kalevi, all the way down in P12. That is one of your championship protagonists there. Miles down the order, so not ideal for him in the slightest. Then Risbo and Ethan Quigley on row 7. We've put the 2 Hassers making up row 8. Portuguese Beast ahead of Magnussen Cube in qualifying for a 4th time in 5 races. Robin is 17th, the lead McLaren. McLaren having a shocker in qualifying there. Robin 17th, Mark Daniel in 19th with Dom in between them. And then, of course, Takubi starting at the back of the grid after his qualifying ban. And he's going to have to make history if he wants to win here today. No one has ever won from last place and P20 on the grid in SKG Tier 1. And he'll be, well, he'd love to be the first one, but I think with Silo so dominant, it's going to be a tall order.
Absolutely, but if anyone can, Takubi can.
I love the little catchphrase you gave him there. As we now go to the 5 red lights here in the Lone Star States. It's time to go racing in Texas. Lights out. And away we go here in Tier 1. And Silo getting a good launch. Covers off the inside line towards Turn 1. And holds the lead in the background though. The Red Bulls and the V-Carbs are battling over 2nd and 3rd. Parker holds on to 2nd ahead of his teammate. But it's Venzi in 4th as Katzberg almost being swallowed up by the grid in the background. Lawrence Patten side by side with the Aston Martin of Krabs, who has to cut the corner, and Lawrence in response also has to cut the inside of the next corner, but he's up into 6th place at the moment as Nico Rasenberg is up into 8th with the other Sauber dropping down in the background. I think we saw him slightly cut the corner there as he got past Esko Kalevi. Will he have to give that position back? It looks like he might as he goes defensive towards the inside line at turn 11. There's going to be potential battling up ahead between Venzi and Parker. The Red Bull tucked into the slipstream of the V-Carb. Tom Campbell, the Australian, facing off against the Italian in the Red Bull. Can he be late on the brakes into turn 12? Down the inside goes Venzi, and he just about completes the move, but Tom hanging it round the outside. That will turn to the inside for the next part of this lap. And Tom is looking to hold on, but they're still side by side, Ollie. And now, finally, Venzi gets through as there's contact between Parker and Tom.
Yeah, I was kind of keeping an eye on one battle. Keeping one eye on the man that's now P12, Takubi, has made a lightning start.
Wow.
And now he's stuck behind Mackie, who's on those hards. But yeah, Takubi already up to P12.
That is a phenomenal start by the second Ferrari. We're looking at his teammate at the moment, who's trying to go up the inside of Katsby and Jacek towards turn 1 at the blind apex. Can he make it stick late on the brakes? Inside line, Katsby will get the better traction on the exit as we drop down the hill. He squeezes him as much as he possibly can. They're still side by side, wheel banging between the two of them, but Lawrence Patten swings it around the outside. That is a fantastic move by the lead Ferrari driver at the moment. Takubi is up into 11th as well. It's been a good start for the Italian team. Out at the front though, the Italian driver Avenzi will be very happy with his start. He's up one place and into the podium positions.
Yeah, so another man that is up one position is Esko Calavius. He gets up the inside of Nat M into the hairpins. He goes up to P9, which is not good for his championship hopes, as he's going to be scoring 2 with Parker scoring 18. Yeah, so a 16-point swing.
Really swing it open with 3 wide in the background as there's the Red Bull down the inside. Nico Ratzenberger gets spun there. And that is so unfortunate for the Sauber. He was on the outside of cars going 3 wide. I believe it was Katsby and Jacek and Lawrence as he dives down the inside of the pole at turn 15. Fantastic racing between the Ferrari and the Red Bull there. They have dropped out the DRS of the car ahead of them though, and that could be costly moving forward, but some phenomenal battling between the two as there's a slight slide from the Ferrari, but he will remain ahead of Katsby and Jacek. Silo sets the fastest lap but hasn't managed to escape Parker Venzi or Tom Campbell as it stands. Katsby being squeezed to the inside here by the Ferrari. A little bit of wheel banging between the two of them in the background as well. That's Maki Maizono battling with Risbo over 12th place. As Risbo, big slide from the Mercedes, he drops down to 15th as he pushes a bit too hard and loses the traction, dropping down the hill. We need to catch a breath, Ollie. This is fantastic racing so far.
As Dom comes into pit lane in the background and comes the first time of the race, and yeah, I personally agree. This race has been a great start so far. We're in lap 3, so and maybe rain.
Absolutely, and Alpine continue their unwanted record of having at least one DNF in every single race they've competed in this season. That is their 11th DNF in their 9th race of the season. They didn't compete in Singapore, had no drivers there, but in every other round they've had at least one retirement. As in the background, Maki Maizono battling with Ethan Quigley, who slides his way down the inside, still side by side on the exit, but I think the Williams will just about get the move done. In fact, he's looking around the outside of Robin now through the stadium section. Can he get the move done? He has the inside line, but he's ghosting around. Oh my god, he's teleporting all over the place. Does get the move done, and he's into 12th, but not ideal connection there, I feel like, for the Williams driver.
One thing I'm very worried, and just looking at as this race is going over, is the battery percentage of, I think, let me have a look, the top 3. Silo has basically maintained nearly all of his battery, while Parker and Venzi are using so much to just stay in the DRS. That's kind of worrying.
That is insane how much battery Silo still has, and he's able to stay ahead of them on the long straights. Where is he finding that pace from? That is incredible from the Mercedes driver. Further back, it seems Katsby has dropped back a little bit from the top group. 1.5 seconds between him and Tom Campbell. Lawrence Patten following around in 6th place at the moment, with his teammate still down in 11th, looking to get past the Alpine of Nat MF1. It has been a really good start from Takubi already, as you can see, up 9 places from where he started in this race. Is that about to become 10? No, he's not quite close enough, but in the background we see battling over 14th, I believe it was, as we also see Mark Daniel trying to fend off Whitey. But, yeah, what did you say there, Ollie?
Krabs was pretty much pushing Lawrence Patten through that Hockenheim section, Bahrain section, whatever you want to call it.
The sort of amalgamation of a million different things.
The Hockenrain.
Hockenrain, yeah. But yeah, the gap at the front still maintaining the same between Parker and Silo. He's just about able to stick with the Mercedes driver currently, but Silo, I mean, he's basically used no battery. That is incredible from the Mercedes, but he is pushing to the absolute limits. Look how close he's getting on the white lines through that first sector. We do have to keep an eye out for track limits, of course, and we've already seen Mark Daniel and Risbo both having 3-second time penalties for their interpretation of track limits. Tom Campbell might just be about to drop out of the DRS of the top 3 here, and I think he has. Tom has a lot of battery available to him, but as he crossed the white line, the DRS stays closed. Tom Campbell out of a second compared to those ahead of him. That could be costly for him.
Indeed, yeah. The top 3 seems to be kind of in a little race of their own. Obviously, Silo is just kind of dragging Parker and Venzi along, it seems. But yeah, I mean, he's still on the bubble, 1.1 seconds, so still many opportunities for him to get back into the DRS, but Casper is now 2 seconds back, so he's kind of yeah, way out of it.
Yeah, Casper seemed to lose a bit of time on the exit of turn 12. I think he had a bit of a slide in the background while we were looking at Tom, but yeah, he is dropping back quite a bit at the moment. Kubi's still all over the back of Nat MF1, and we'll wait and see if the Alpine has DRS here. Silo has dropped Parker at the front as Makimezono gets himself a 3-second time penalty to Kubi in the slipstream of Nat MF1, but he won't be close enough to make the move up into turn 1. So we return our attention to the battle at the front, and you can see the gap is so much bigger, and Silo is now
has
running.
used some battery now. And that's what he does. Just instantly breaks the second. Oh my word, this guy is crazy.
But I did see there, I'm wondering, Ollie, could you just check if he's just got a warning for track limits there, because he took that corner at the top of the hill. He has not. That is quite lucky from the Mercedes. It looked like he went across the inside there.
Parker just got one too.
Quite aggressively. Parker did get one, but Silo didn't. That's interesting. But yeah, we will have to keep an eye on the gap at the front, but Silo so far absolutely dominant at the front of this field. Parker in second, trying to hold on for dear life, but he's not been able to so far. Venzi also out of DRS, and the car ahead of him, it's Tom Campbell who's now closing up on him. Takubi is...
He's got past Nat, but he's now nearly 1.5 seconds back from the next fastest car, as there's a Risbo round.
Flag for Risbo, who's gone round at turn 12. Not sure if there was contact there, but I think Takubi might have lost a bit of time battling with Nat MF1, or just stuck behind Nat M, and it has cost him ground to the cars ahead, as we see our first pit stopper, Nico Rassenberg. The German comes in on debut for Sauber, was running around in 8th place, and he calls it quits on his medium tyres at the end of lap 6, a very early pit stop there. I'm wondering if he's potentially converting to a 2-stop, because I think 22 laps on hard tyres, it is probably doable as Risbo retires in the pit lane. So there's a second DNF for us here tonight, but 22 laps on hards, probably doable, but they are not going to feel healthy come the end of this race.
Not at all. I mean, when I was commentating Tier 4, I know a few people were going quite long on their hard tyres, but well, how many laps did you do on your tyres?
I was going to say, I think I was one of the first pitters, because I got spun around on the first lap and then pulled myself back to the pack a little bit, but was stuck in a train of about 6 or 7 cars, and I think I pit at the end of lap 10 for my pit stop. So compared to mine, at least, that was a very early pit stop from Nico Rassenberg. But the undercut is definitely powerful around here, though, because I pretty much leapfrogged the entire group ahead of me by pitting a lap or 2 earlier than they did. So the undercut could be powerful, and it could be exactly what Parker may need to try and pull himself back into this race. But to be honest, at 1.9 seconds back, I think even now he's too far back from Silo to make the undercut work. That now becomes 2 seconds heading towards the final corner, and he now has Venzi and his teammate Tom Campbell back behind him, as Lawrence Patten though goes for the undercut at the end of lap 7. And he is going to pit onto a set of hards as well. So the Ferrari driver blinking early here in this race, and he's hoping to maybe put himself into the question of the podium places by going for an aggressive undercut strategy.
Indeed, yeah. Well, I was about to say something and it's gone from my mind. Yeah, Lawrence Paston literally just cleared Casper, so I don't know if that was any significance. He just wanted to be ahead of the Red Bull and then, yeah, come in. But I don't know if that is a response to Nico.
Potentially.
But
So the bottom
we'll have
four.
to wait and see.
The bottom four.
But Nico has not got ahead.
Nico has not, no, 1.8 seconds back, and he also picked up a 3-second time penalty on that last lap as well. So not an ideal outlap for the Sauber. Hasn't really made too much ground as a result of his undercut, at least. I think the undercut is most effective around here when you're actually in the middle of a battle. I think for someone like Parker it might not be too effective, but for Venzi and Tom, I think they really could go for an early stop and leapfrog the V-Carb. I am interested to see actually what happens here, because obviously they will have seen the Ferrari of Lawrence come into the pits on the previous lap. Does Parker blink now? Does he go another lap? We'll see coming out the final corner. Parker into the pit lane. Venzi follows suit, and that forces Tom Campbell to stay out another lap. What happened with Parker?
He hit the accelerator coming into the box, and oh my god, I was scared that that was about to be a 10-second penalty.
So we have a lot of drivers making pit stops now. You can see them all switching on to the hard compound of tyre. The top 5 all yet to pit. Of those who started on the medium tyres, we also have Mark Daniel in 8th place in the McLaren, but he was towards the back of the field. So it's only the top 5 who are yet to pit, having started on their medium compound, and Takubi is one of those, currently up 15 places from where he started this race. I am very interested to see where he bleeds out into this race once he has made his pit stop. Up ahead, Krabs has caught up to the back of Katsby and Jacek quite nicely, and he is well within the DRS window of the car ahead. Katsby and Jacek is a bit further back from Tom Campbell, 2.7 seconds, with 3.7 between Tom and Silo, who still leads this race. And when we ride on board with Tom Campbell, well, you only just see the Mercedes. You can see him there at the hairpin big slide from Tom Campbell through the stadium section. I think his tyres are going off, and I fully expect we'll see the V-Carb come in this lap. But what does Silo do? Does he stay out another lap because he can afford to? Or does he come in? No, he bails into the pits now as Nico Rassenberg gets a second 3-second time penalty. But Silo into the pits, Tom Campbell follows suit. Katsby and Jacek stays out, Ollie, as does Krabs, but Takubi in.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on the delta between obviously Silo when he was on the track and Parker only gained 3/10.
Wow.
Silo must have been managing his tyres so well that he can still keep somewhat similar pace, and yeah, he's come out ahead of Parker, and there's a car in between them as well, so
yeah,
this is going to cause problems.
That's not ideal for Parker. He comes out directly behind the McLaren of Mark Daniel, who is on an old set of medium tyres, yet to make a pit stop in this race. He is definitely closer than he was to Silo when he made his pit stop. I think, I don't know, maybe about a second gained there. He's 1.4 seconds, 1.6, 1.8 as he continues to lose time behind the McLaren. I expect to see a bit of a lunge into the hairpin here from the V-Carb, and indeed we do. But yeah, he's about a second and a half closer, I think, than what he was before the pit stop. So he must have made that all in the final couple of sectors, perhaps. But Parker 1.7 back from Silo, and has Venzi all over the back of him as well. Tom Campbell down in 9th, has come out ahead of Lawrence Patten by 3 seconds. So the undercut did not work for the Ferrari driver whatsoever there. Takubi out in 13th, having made his pit stop, and is behind Esko Kalevi, so he'll be wanting to make quick work of the Williams
Casper
ahead.
and Krabs stay out. Another one.
Casper and Krabs are playing a risky game here, maybe hoping for a safety car in this race. We've had 2 retirements so far, but they were both in the pit lane. And, you know, if a safety car came out now, they would be sitting quite pretty at the front of the field. You lose about 14 seconds or so for pitting under the safety car around this circuit, so they would lose a number of places, but it wouldn't be as bad as if they were to pit under green flag conditions, of course. But yeah, those two continuing on at the front. Parker has dropped another couple of attempts to Silo. I don't know, I think this is the Mercedes race to lose at this point.
Oh, Casper's got a penalty. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, a number of penalties flying in there.
Esco.
Esco Kalevi getting a 3-second time penalty. Let's see how many everyone has. So Katzber on 3 seconds. Mark Daniel and Nico Rassenberg on 6. And then Esco, Nat and Makey all on 3 seconds of time penalties. As in the background, Tom Campbell has got past Mark Daniels' McLaren and up into 8th place. Lawrence Patton will be the next driver to chase down the Briton ahead of him. But yeah, not ideal for some of them. Takubi still up 7 places, the big gainer at the moment, Mark Daniel, but that is of course because he is yet to make his pit stop in this race. Finally, the leaders come in. Catsby and J Chicken Crabs coming in at the end of lap 11 here, and they will finally make their pit stop onto the hard compounder tyres for a 16 lap stint here. And I think their hope is that everyone else's hard tyres are going to be completely dead by the end of this race. Let's see where they come out in this race. And actually, the one to keep an eye on is Takubi, as you see Catsby and Jachik on the left-hand side up towards turn 1. The blind apex there. Esco Clevy side by side with the Red Bull. The Williams will get through. And here comes Takubi down the hill on the inside of turn 2. Can he get the move done before the S's section? He's on the outside, which will turn to the inside. They're still side by side through the entire S's. Takubi has to cut the corner slightly, and he has to give up the position to Catsby and Jachik. That is fantastic wheel-to-wheel battling between the two former teammates there. But it's Catsbro who comes out on top, and that is crucial for the Red Bulls racers. Up ahead of them, Lawrence Patten coming under pressure from... sorry, not coming under pressure. He's trying to get past the McLaren and Mark Daniel, and he does so. In the background, Nico Rassenberg, though, I think he might have lost the rear end on the exit there, or is he lagging backwards? Oh, he's suffering some connection issues there. He's teleported back behind Esco Kalevi and a number of drivers. He's down into 12th place, and that is a nightmare for the debutant.
Yeah, it's crucial for Silo's race. He's cleared Portuguese Beast, who has not pitted yet and is now on the back of Mackie. So Silo, yeah, he's now going to get cars in between these two direct race rivals, I want to say, but with Silo's pace,
I think
there's no one in the same league as him.
Absolutely not, and I think Parker will be praying that Mackie keeps him behind through the first sector, because Parker has 1.3 seconds to close to Portuguese Beast at the moment, who Portuguese Beast, I believe, started on the hard tyres as Nico Rassenberg calls it a day there and becomes our 50th retirement of season 16. Not once of him, but I can see why, because it appeared he was struggling with some connection issues. But crucially, Silo has been kept behind the Sauber through this entire first sector, Ollie, and that has allowed Parker to close the gap somewhat. He's within a second of the Haas ahead of him, and Silo is still behind the Sauber.
Yeah, but that's a Haas in the middle of them. The might cause problematic with obviously Portuguese Beast is just going to cause... I mean, I don't think Portuguese Beast will move out of the way at all. So here comes Mercedes.
Mackie's not making it easy for him, yeah. Mackie's still on the inside line. Can he get there? No, not quite. Silo hangs it round the outside on his fresher tyres, but Mackie puts up a fight there, the debutant, and that was very good to see. And it certainly will have held up Silo somewhat, but Parker, crucially, still hasn't got past Portuguese Beast on his, what are going to become 13-lap-old hard tyres, as Ethan Quigley picks up his first penalty of the race. There's a reminder of everyone's corner cutting penalties so far, and who is yet to make a pit stop. It is just the guys in second and third yet to pit in this race, and Parker is stuck behind both of them at the moment.
Yeah, the gap around 2.5 seconds from Silo to Parker, and yeah, with these guys not pitting anytime yet, it's just going to cause a headache for the Racing Bulls. And as we were talking about Parker, we were talking about his championship rival, Esco Kalevi, who's just been passed by Caspian Jacek. So Esco falling back and under threat from Takubi too, so really not ideal for the Finn.
Yeah, even though Parker is, well, looking less and less likely to win this race, he is looking pretty comfortable for a podium. He does have Venzi tucked up right behind him, but that is the battle for what is a net P2 and P3 in this race as Parker looks to the inside of Portuguese Beast, and that is a fabulous move down the inside at the hairpin at turn 11. He will also have the DRS. He's still side by side with the Haas, but he will have the DRS, and I fully expect this move
Portuguese
to be
Beast also has DRS.
Portuguese Beast will have DRS on the Sauber ahead and will have the slipstream, but Parker is going to make two moves in one here, down the inside at turn 12. That is the move of a potential champion, getting through the traffic like a knife through butter, and that is a wonderful move by the V-Carb, up into second place, 2.1 seconds back on our race leader as the battle continues behind Maki Meizono running wide out to the stadium section, and Venzi getting the move done up into third place now, and the top three all making their pit stops and all in clean air. But as I was saying, Parker looks fabulous as Maki spins it on the exit of the penultimate corner. Is that a sign to pit for fresh tyres perhaps? No, it is not. He stays out, but maybe putting the throttle down that little bit too quickly, and he drops down to 7th place.
Head of Casper.
And yeah, Casper will get that move done, you would expect. Although Maki has DRS and Casper does not, because the detection point was before the penultimate corner while Maki was still in the train. So Casper will get held up here instead through the first sector. But yeah, Parker looking good for at least a third place as things stand, and that will be huge for his championship hopes. He came in tonight leading by 7 points in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Esko Kalevi on 113 points to Esko's 106. That is only going to get bigger and bigger, that gap tonight, and with 2 rounds to go, it really throws the championship into Parker's hands, you have to say. Anyone who is 54 points off the championship lead after tonight's race will mathematically be out of the hunt. And, well, I expect this might go down to a 2 or 3 driver scrap by the end of proceedings here at the Circuit of Americas.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. And
Maki,
keep an eye, yellow flag out.
Yeah, Maki is struggling on those tyres now. He's practically drifting his way through the stadium section at the moment. I think he might have had another spin that has thrown him down the positions, but those tyres are completely dead, and that is not good news for the drivers who made an early pit stop in this race. Looking towards, I believe, well, one of them retired. I think it was Nico Rassenberg who pit first, as Maki has left the session there. We'll try and get him back in just in case there was a connection issue. I'm not sure if you have him added, Ollie. If not, I will send him an invite.
I don't actually.
I will send him an invite myself, see if he does rejoin, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is calling his race quits there. But yeah, he looked like he was struggling with his tyres towards the end there, and that is only on 15 lap-old hards, so not good news to the likes of Lawrence Patten and anyone else who made an early pit stop. Let's see who that is. So Lawrence on 8 lap-old hards. We've got Ethan Quigley also, T. Whitey, all on 8 lap-old hards. Although Portuguese Beast still up in 5th, yet to pit in this race, having started on the hard tyres. So you never know. People will be watching him very closely as we see a move for second place there. Venzi, very simple overtake with the DRS down the inside of Parker, and gets his Red Bull into second place. Takumi gets past Esko Kalevi as well at the same corner, and the Ferrari, having started last, by the way, up into 8th place, and it was starting last because of a quali ban for too many penalty points that was caused by him not having his telemetry settings correctly tuned in on multiple occasions this season. It wasn't through his own driving or bad standards or anything like that, it was just a settings mistake for Takumi. So to have gone from 20th to 8th, very impressive indeed, and he's only a few seconds back from his teammate as well. You can see him there in the background of shots from Lawrence Patten. He might be looking at his mirrors sooner rather than later, as we see yet more penalties coming in. And there is your update. Everyone on 3 seconds apart from Maki Meizono, who has of course left the session, and Mark Daniel at the rear of the field.
Yeah, I was just thinking actually, Takumi, obviously Casper has a penalty. Portuguese Beast will obviously pit. So Takumi may even look at a P6 finish here.
which is phenomenal effort from the rear of the field. It was all to do with that first lap though, from last to 12th on that opening lap. It was an incredible start from the Belgian, of course. And now, well, so you have to probably say, the undisputed GOAT of Tier 1 in SKG. The most wins, the most pole positions, the most fastest laps of any driver. It is an incredible record that Takubi has in Tier 1, making his 43rd start here today. He's won 11 of those, he's taken 12 pole positions. He is arguably the big name in Tier 1 at the moment, but, well, we are currently witnessing a man trying to perhaps write his own name in the history books. Silo, 3.8 seconds clear at the front now. He has the crucial 3-second buffer if he was to get a time penalty.
Yeah, I was just having a look at his warnings just then as you were saying it. He's only on 1. So,
Wow.
yeah, he's looking quite comfortable here, is the Mercedes. And one man that we haven't really spoke about at all this race is the man currently catching up to the back of Venzi.
Yeah, Tom Campbell's had a quiet race in this one. He was sort of forced to stay out longer than the two drivers ahead of him because of both of them pitting right ahead. So he's done 1 lap fewer on his set of hard tyres, and he is catching his teammates and Venzi at the moment, and in fact has just snuck within a second, which is going to really drag him into this battle. And Tom Campbell needs to be aggressive with these two. He needs to finish ahead of his teammates if he is to stand any half chance in this championship. He begins today on 81 points, which is 32 points behind his teammates. It's unlikely, even if he finishes second and Parker in 4th, which is the realistic best case scenario for him at the moment. It's unlikely that he'll win the title, but you never know. If Parker has an off day and retires in one of the final 2 rounds or something along those lines, Tom could find himself right in the championship battle, but you have to say he needs to beat his American teammate here today at the Circuit of Americas if he is to be a realistic contender. Esko Kalevi still down in 9th place. Make that 10th as down the inside goes Krabs coming through the stadium section. That is a horrible camera angle it gives us, but the Aston Martin does get the move done. And Esko Kalevi now down in 10th place. Luckily, everyone behind him has penalties, so he is genuinely in 10th place at the moment. But that is not good for him, although it is about to become 9th, as Portuguese Beast finally makes his 1 pit stop of the race.
Yeah, Tom Campbell now within the DRS of the, I was about to say the front guys, but they kind of are the front guys, minus the rocket ship of Silo, who is 5 seconds pretty much ahead of Parker now, so...
Yeah, and I'm quite interested to keep an eye on the delta between Kacper Jędrzejczyk and Takubi, because Kacper has well and truly caught Lawrence Patton at this point. Are we going to see a bit of teamwork here? Yes, we certainly are. Lawrence Patton with the late defence and the switchback on the Red Bull.
Lovely.
And he is playing the team game here. He is trying to help his teammate Takubi catch up to Kacper Jędrzejczyk and try and make this a three-way fight for what is over 5th place at the moment. Lawrence will drop behind the Red Bull, but will dive it down the inside into turn 12. The Red Bull turns in, they're side by side, a bit of wheel banging between the two of them. And this is some fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing. Kacper holds on, but Lawrence will get the cutback. Can he dive it down the inside of the next corner? He goes around the outside at turn 15. Can't quite get the move done, but he is trying his best to help his teammate catch up, and look at that. The gap just went down by half a second just on the exit of turn 15 alone. Takubi is catching the drivers ahead of him, but he needs Lawrence to try and cause Kacper to waste that little bit more time, because Takubi's also dragging along with him Krabs and the 2 Williams of Esko Kalevi and Ethan Quigley. What will Lawrence do this time up towards turn 1? I don't think he's going to be close enough. That might be Kacper gone, but Lawrence did his part, and that was some fantastic battling.
Absolutely, yeah. That was shades of Sergio Perez, but yeah, Kacper just had the pace and has the 4-lap fresher tyres, so you have to say Kacper really looking good here in this race. He's 5 seconds back and with a penalty, but
the top four's decided at this point, unless there is an incident between them, as we get a lovely camera shot there of second down to fourth running nose to tail. But unless something drastic happens at the front, the top four is set. It will be these four drivers. It looks like it will be Silo who wins this race as well. But it's just a question of who gets the final two spots on the podium. But in terms of the driver server back, Lawrence is already out of the DRS of Catsper. And, well, Takubi hasn't really gained that much, so they do need to get a move on. Krabs could be a dark horse in this fight for fifth, because he is on 2 lap fresher tyres than anyone else around him apart from Catsper. And Catsper has that penalty, so watch out for Krabs as this race goes on. He could well find himself sneaking a 5th place come the end of this race. Also, keep an eye on the progress of Portuguese Beast, currently down in 13th. With some time penalties to his name. He currently has 3 seconds, but you can see there his teammate Magnussen Cube moves over, doesn't put up a fight, and he gets up into 12th place. So Portuguese Beast still hoping for points in this race, I feel, but a long way off the podium positions. I don't think there'll be a late charge from him in this one. Mark Daniel, another set of time penalties there. As Portuguese Beast sets the fastest lap. So, as it stands, no one getting the extra point for fastest lap currently, unless someone beats Portuguese's lap time, or he gets himself into the top 10. But, yeah, a phenomenal race so far from SCI Silo. Is now 6 seconds clear at the front of the field. He's in a world of his own, Ollie. This is a stunning performance once again from the Mercedes.
Yeah, I think this might generally be the most dominant performance from a single driver in SKG. Like, actually, I don't think I've seen someone be able to gap the field and just consistently pull away, ever.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. The stint that he has put in this race. He has managed it from the front. He didn't rush, he didn't cook his tyres, he just took his time with it, and it has well and truly paid off so far. He looks set to make it 2 wins in a row to start his SKG Tier 1 career, and that is a phenomenal achievement from him as Krabs picks up a time penalty. It means we only actually have 6 drivers who don't have time penalties in this race. So, and it is 6 of the top 7 as well, which could well become 6 of the top 6 by the end of this race. Lawrence Patton has let his teammate through, and Takubi is now going to try and stay within 3 seconds of Katsby and Jacek to make it a P5 finish from the back of the grid, as FST Robin comes into the pit lane for McLaren, and I think he might be trying to steal as Katsby gets another penalty. That is crucial. The Red Bull up to 6 seconds. There goes P5 for him. And now he might be looking over his shoulder even more, as that is a train of cars behind him who do not have as many penalties as he does. So Catsper could have just thrown away a good result here. Further forward.
Door for up 15 position Ferrari of Takubi.
Yeah, Takubi, that's fantastic news for him. He is looking like he is going to be walking away with a 5th place finish after a quali ban, which is simply incredible, really. He's a phenomenal job from him. It's, the main battle at the moment in these final few laps is going to be over these final podium positions, I feel like. Takubi has now dropped further back from Katsby and Jacek. 3.3 seconds the gap, but he doesn't need to be much closer because of that 6 second time penalty that Catsper has at the moment. So he's quite comfortable where he is right now, Takubi. But I'm sure he would like to try and close up if he can, just to make it even more comfortable in this race for him. Lawrence Patton picks up a 3 second time penalty as well. So the dominoes continue to fall. Just 5 drivers yet to get a time penalty for track limits now. But Lawrence, at the moment, that's not costing him any positions. Although it might, well, it might do actually. I think he's not going to overtake Catsper as it stands. So Catsper may only drop to 6th place currently.
I'll tell you what, Takubi needs to be careful. He's on 2 warnings. And if he gets a penalty, he's out of that, well, half of 6 seconds threshold. If he does get a penalty, so Takubi might actually be under threat here. But even though, it'll still be a P6 finish.
I think that might be why we've seen him drop off a bit. He's just making sure he doesn't get any silly warnings or anything like that that
Crabs.
are avoidable. As Crabs having a look on Lawrence Patton, but not close enough to make the move as Robin picks up more penalties, but he has made 2 pit stops in this race. Silo, 6.5 seconds clear at the front. Look at the camera angle there. You only just saw 2nd place come into view as he was turning in for turn 1. It is an unassailable lead at this point, and so long as Silo keeps it clean and has got the right amount of fuel or something in his car, I think this is going to be a easy victory for him. Krabs versus Lawrence going down the hill towards turn 2. Lawrence turns in, shuts the door in the Aston Martin's face, and he's helping out his teammates a little bit here, but I think Catsby and Jacek will also be thanking him, because I think this may well secure Catsby a P6 finish in this race.
It may still be able to, if Takubi just takes it just a bit more too carefully through the first sector and Casper just bombs it through there, then Casper may even pull 6 seconds. You never know.
Yeah, there's every possibility. Every possibility of him doing that in this race, but it's looking good so far as we get an awful camera angle. Again, Codemasters, we want to see the battle between Krabs and Lawrence. Krabs got forced off wide potentially there, but I think it was more him just oversteering wide as he dives it down the inside. Oh, almost contact between the 2 of them. But Lawrence Patton will hold on, and that gap continues to grow to his teammates. He has well and truly killed Krabs' charge towards Takubi in this race with those fresher, hard tyres. And Lawrence doing a fantastic number 2 job here as he holds on there, goes minorly defensive before going back to the racing line before the braking zone. And this is expert defensive driving from the Ferrari as he squeezes the Aston Martin towards the wall. On the run towards turn 1, dives back to the outside line to try and go round the outside. But Krabs positions his car but slides on the exit and back down the inside will go the Ferrari. What a battle between these 2, wheel banging between the 2 of them. But Lawrence will hold on once again, and this is textbook defensive driving by the Briton in the Ferrari. Phenomenal stuff between the 2 of them. We have been treated to some really good attacking and defensive driving from our Tier 1 grid here tonight, as Krabs having another look but not close enough into turn 11. But at this point, Takubi is even further ahead. He is 5 seconds clear of his teammates and 4.2 now behind Catsbear, but he still has a second and a half to play with before you start getting concerned about his gap being unassailable, as Tom Campbell very close to Venzi, having a look down the inside but nothing doing this time around. Lap 25 of 28. This race has gone by quite quickly with all the battles. And Krabs having another look, is he? Through the stadium section, I think
Esko Kalevi's joined this battle as well.
Right on board.
The other Williams off quickly.
So, yeah, we are right on board with the Williams at the moment, and I've just noticed someone say it in chat as we see more defensive driving from Lawrence Patton. Fantastic stuff to keep the Aston Martin behind, but people in chat have pointed out Catsby and Jacek's only 1.6 seconds back from the top 4. He is really caught up to those guys, and yes, he has the time penalty and he isn't in the fight, but he could disrupt it and cause a little bit of chaos perhaps. So one to keep an eye out on as we ride on board with the Williams of Esko Kalevi, heading through the Maggots and Beckett section of this circuit of the Americas, and he is just ahead of his teammate as well, but yeah, it's basically a cork in a bottle at the moment. Lawrence Patton at the front of this pack, and he is doing a wonderful job to keep them all behind him. Catsby and Jacek 1.3 seconds back. He has better tyres than everyone else ahead of him by 2 or 3 laps, as we have a yellow flag out, and that is one of the Haas drivers. I believe that is Magnussen Cube, yes. Not a good day. Venzi down, getting attacked now by Tom Campbell as he tries to squeeze the V-carb wide. Will he go for the switchback through turn 15? No, he goes round the outside instead, and that allows Tom Campbell through. And all of a sudden the V-carbs both on the podium, and this is good for Parker, who's now out of the DRS of his teammates. He has well and truly escaped 1.5 seconds clear.
Bloody hell!
And Catspy and J-Chicks here, but we got other battling elsewhere. Krabs down the inside of Lawrence. He finally gets the move done after about 3 or 4 laps of trying. And he's up into 7th place, but 8.2 seconds back from Takubi. That is a defensive masterclass from Lawrence Patten, and he has well and truly secured his teammates at least 6th place in this race. 2 laps to go at the Circuit of the Americas, and it's looking very good now for Takubi.
Might be under threat. Casper is now within DRS of this group.
That will
with 2 laps left.
Help. Yeah.
He may drop 6 seconds back, actually.
Takubi has a lot less battery as well, so this is not going to help Catspy and J-Chick. And my question is, what do Red Bull do in this scenario? Do they believe Venzi can get back past Tom Campbell, or do they let Catspy through and try and get him far enough ahead of Takubi to hold on to 5th place? You can see the Ferrari in the background there. This is a strategic nightmare, I think, for Red Bull right now. Do you back your driver, Venzi, to get back ahead of Tom, or do you help the guy with a penalty make sure he gets ahead of Takubi, who is now 5.1 seconds back? He lost a few tenths of a second there because of the DRS. Takubi's going to have to push like hell on this final lap if he does want to get 5th place from Catspy and J-Chick. You can see the gap come back down as we head through the stadium section, and he gains back the time he lost on the straight. So Catspy losing time in the dirty air in the corners, but gaining so much on the straights. And we ride on board with the pole at the moment as we start this, the final lap at COTA.
8 seconds. 8 seconds.
It is
Silo, what are you made of?
It is absolutely incredible. Lock-up from Tom Campbell in 3rd place. May open the door for Venzi, but not quite this time around. The gap to Takubi is only 4.5 seconds. He's gained more time. 4.3 it becomes. The dirty air is really hurting Catspy and J-Chick here. And have Red Bull made the right call or not? Is Venzi going to get back past Tom Campbell? Is Catspy going to keep Takubi behind? Or are they going to be left with egg on the faces and end up with Catspy still finishing behind Takubi and Venzi not getting back past Portuguese Beast? Retires on the final lap of the race. That is unfortunate for the man in the Haas. I believe he had the fastest lap of the race and still does, so no one taking that at the moment.
I think Silo's trying.
Silo may well.
Seconds as it started. 9.5 now.
Wow, he may well be trying for it. Last big overtaking opportunity for Venzi. He doesn't get past Takubi. He's only 4 seconds back. Venzi had a look down the inside of Tom Campbell, but he doesn't make it work. And that may be all she wrote for the Red Bull team. They're not going to keep 5th place with Catspy and J-Chick. They're not going to get Venzi back through on the V-carb. But for now, we witness history as through the final couple of corners, he has been the Lone Star in the Lone Star State. Silo makes history as the first ever driver in SKG Tier 1 to win their first 2 races in the tier. Dominant from the Mercedes. He wins by 9.2 seconds from the 2 V-carb drivers. Parker in 2nd takes a massive step towards the Drivers' Championship title here tonight. His teammate in 3rd. And his main championship rival of Esko Kalevi is all the way down at the back end of the top 10. It's 9th place for the Finn, and are his hopes of a debut championship, or sorry, a first championship, fading away now. That is a big swing in the championship points. He is now 23 behind Parker with 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, I think Parker, at his home event, might have just put one hand on that trophy.
Absolutely, but Parker will be, I think it'll be quite a happy podium, to be honest, with Silo absolutely dominant. That was insane. 9.2 seconds between the man in the Mercedes and second place. Phenomenal effort from him. And like I said, as he crossed the line, the Lone Star of the Lone Star State and the first ever driver in SKG Tier 1 to win his first 2 races, and the first to do that from pole position. He has a perfect record. Perfect record so far, except for fastest lap, which, let's be honest, he probably is always unlikely to get if you win the race. But that is incredible from Silo. 2 wins. He thrusts himself really high in the championship as well immediately because of that. Phenomenal effort. Takubi, from the back of the grid as well, by the way, up 15 places to 5th place overall. A fantastic effort from him. Katsby and Jachik in 6th in the end after his time penalties, 1.6 seconds behind Takubi once they were added on. The first time in 3 races that he's not been on the podium. Katsby's been on a really good run of form recently, but not to be tonight. Lawrence Paten, in the end, 8th place for him for Ferrari, but it was his efforts, you have to say, that probably helped his teammate secure 5th place. And it was the 2 Williams at the back end of the top 10, with Esko Clevy 9th and Ethan Quigley in 10th. But I mean, do I even need to ask? Hello, people in the chat as well. I've seen a few people saying hello. Ollie, do we even need to ask who's driver of the day today? I feel like, actually, there's probably 2 drivers it could be between.
Well, yeah, I think there's quite an obvious candidate. There's also a less obvious candidate that I just think did such a great job that I think he deserves it more. I think we should say who we think it'll be on 3.
Okay.
Alright.
3.
1, 2, 3.
Silo. Yeah. I think Silo is purely dominant. However, I'm assuming your second candidate for it was Takubi, from 20th to 5th.
I think Takubi did a great job at cutting through the field, obviously making the overtakes and stuff. You know, obviously also did a good job with keeping within that 6 seconds of Casper and stuff, but I don't think that could be right. I don't think that's on the same level of jaw-droppingness in SKG Tier 1, which we know is such a close tier to Silo's performance tonight.
Yeah, Silo pole by over 0.4 of a second, a race win by 9.2 seconds.
Is that the biggest pole margin of the season?
I will take a quick look, actually. It is the biggest pole margin of the season. Before that, we didn't have anyone qualifying more than 1/4 of a second ahead, which surprisingly happened in Brazil, when I believe it was Tom Campbell took pole in Brazil by 0.249 of a second. And it was the it was the closest, but also furthest apart qualifying of the season. It was the biggest gap to P2 prior to tonight, but it was also the closest field spread we'd had all season. So it was 1/4 of a second back to second place, but only 0.8 of a second between the entire field. But tonight, yeah, Silo 4/10 clear in qualifying, 9.2 seconds, sorry, clear in the race. Wins his first 2 races in the tier and in the league in general. Takes pole in his first 2 races as well. The thing that I have to say though is I'm very excited for Austria now, because Takubi of course had a race ban in Vegas and a qualifying ban here tonight. We've seen his pace tonight to go from last to 5th. Could we maybe have a battle between the 2 of them in Austria? Could Takubi, the undisputed GOAT of the tier in terms of race wins, fastest laps and pole positions, could he be the one to stop the dominance of Silo next week?
I guess only time will tell.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up the stream, we'll go through your provisional Drivers' Championship standings. And with that second place, as we've said, Parker now has one hand on the Tier 1 Drivers' Championship trophy here in Season 16. He has been the bridesmaid in both of the last 2 seasons. He is now on 131 points, 23 clear of Esko Kalevi in the Williams. He could win the championship next week. If he leaves Austria with a 27-point gap, he will be champion. So that is going to be one to watch next weekend. Third place in the championship remains Catsby and Jaychick with his 6th place, bringing him into triple figures with 100 points. 4th is Tom Campbell on 96, Takubi 5th on 83, and then it's Silo 6th after 2 races.
Already.
With 52 points, he is 6th in the standings. Venzi 7th with 50 points. And then you go back to Nardo, who has finally dropped from the top 6 of the drivers' standings, by the way. And he is down to 8th on his 42 points. In terms of the constructors, VCARB continue to lead the way on 227 points, with Red Bull second on 187. I believe the Constructors' Championship could also be wrapped up next weekend if results go the way of VCARB. Williams third on 139, just 6 points ahead now of Ferrari. After that 9th and 10th place finish, picking up just 3 points, Williams. Ferrari have closed the gap with their 5th and 8th. And just 6 points behind heading into the final 2 races. That is the main battle in the Constructors over 3rd place, as down in 5th is Mercedes on 78 points. You've then got Aston Martin on 72, McLaren on 70, and Sauber on 62. So a good battle over 5th place at the moment. Then it's down to Haas on 36 and Alpine on 22, wrapping up your Constructors' standings provisionally, at least. But what a race here tonight, and we go into Austria, into the final 2 rounds of the season, with both championships potentially getting wrapped up next week. But the main story is, can Silo make it 3 race wins in a row? We will wait and see. Join us next week, though, as all the action will kick off on the 26th of March, Thursday night at 8 PM UK time with Tier 4. Ollie will be in the commentary box for that one, I do believe. And then Tier 3 on Friday night at the same time, and then your Super Saturday as always, with Tier 2 at 5 PM UK time, and Tier 1 with myself and Ollie at 8 PM UK for the Austrian Grand Prix. We look forward to you joining us there, but for now, Silo, the Lone Star in the Lone Star State. He makes history, but who can stop him in Austria? We'll see you next week.